So next up, we're gonna move on to Ben Simmons and Cameron. A little sports here for a little minute. Before I get started with this commentary in this video, or before we get started, I wanted to remind everybody, if you're watching this video, if you're not a part of the Conscious Approach community, man, subscribe to the channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that like button, comment on the video, share this video if you're liking it on any channels, man. We certainly appreciate you supporting logical content. Now, with that out of the way, Cameron is from our era. He's a hip hop star who's from our era. He's from Brooklyn. So, it stands to reason that he's a fan of the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets, and this conversation takes on even greater meaning today. Today being November the 1st, because Steve Nash and the Brooklyn Nets parted ways. Steve Nash is no longer the coach for the Nets. Oh, you didn't know that?
I ain't heard that.
Yeah. They parted ways today. They parted ways. Started off the season 1-4. They just looked bad. They won. They beat the Pacers in a game on October 31st, a game in which they were winning by 24 points, and the Pacers came back and were actually winning in the fourth quarter. But Brooklyn ended up, edging them out. They just don't even look good. But Ben Simmons is a part of that. I am not a big Ben Simmons fan. I believe Ben Simmons and Kyrie Irving are the reasons why the Brooklyn Nets have zero chance to win the championship, despite the fact that they do satisfy my number one requirement for championship contenders, which is having a dynamic wing player who can dribble, pass, and shoot and play defense. They're the only team who satisfies that requirement to me, but still have zero chance. And it's because of the toxicity that Kyrie Irving, who I think is one of the worst humans in the world, and Ben Simmons bring to the team. But Ben Simmons does not look good. I don't know if you've been watching. Ben Simmons is out there scoring 0 points in games. He's not even shooting shots. He's fouling out. He has more fouls than points. You can't, and I called this when we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Yeah, you can't have him in the game because he doesn't want to shoot free throws. He's afraid to shoot free throws. So he's not even aggressive offensively because he's afraid to go to the free throw line, which means you basically can't have him out there because you're playing 4-on-5 at that point. So Ben Simmons just hasn't looked good, and it's obvious and it's glaring. Cameron, Brooklyn native, fan of the Brooklyn Nets, had a message for Ben Simmons. So I thought that this was pretty comical. So I figured we play this video from Cameron going at Ben Simmons, and then we'll just talk about this whole Brooklyn Simmons. What looks like at this point is a Brooklyn Nets debacle.
Right on.
Look, I'm gonna be real brief and short. Pause. Ben Simmons, stop wasting my niggas' time. I'm dead fucking serious. Stop playing with my niggas, man. You got niggas playing 2-on-5 out there, man. Stop playing with niggas, man. If you don't want to fucking play basketball, go fuck with the Kardashians, the Jenners, whoever the fuck you with. Now, when we watch it on TV, it's all good. I went to the fucking game last night, and I watched you shoot an air ball layup. Stop playing with my niggas. Katie, Kyrie, I know y'all may not approve this much. This ain't on that. This is on me. Stop playing with my niggas. Real talk, babe. If you don't want to play basketball, go do what the fuck you want to do. Stop playing with niggas, man. That shit got me mad. I could suit up and get 2 and 6 fouls. 2.6 fouls. What the fuck is you doing?
Shout out to Cam, man. That was a good
I don't like, this is 2022. No one needs to say pause anymore.
And they still say that up there, bro. They still be on that.
It's really like, if does anybody under the age of 35 say that?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. You're right. Because the only other person I heard say that as much as that, and he only said it once, but it was Dame Dash. He was saying it every other sentence. I said, dang, bro, like, you know what I'm saying? What are you doing, Paul? Paul for what? Now you're making me think about something that wasn't even over there. So pause your pause, bro. How about that?
Right, exactly. Yeah, like, and all he said was, "I'm gonna keep it short." Like, there was no need to even put pause in there. I don't know, man. That's a generational thing right there, more so than anything else, I think.
Not my generation. I ain't claiming that.
But yeah, so Ben Simmons, man. I got a lot of opinions on Ben Simmons that don't have to do with just basketball. probably won't get to all of them in this video because I feel like we can go on forever with this, just like everything else. But what did you think about what Cameron said, man? Cameron put his name on it, man.
I mean, I listen. I vouched for Ben at the beginning of the season, or our predictions video. Looks like I'm failing on my predictions because the Nets look atrocious. Ben looks like he doesn't care. So I was hoping that wouldn't be the case this year, but he looks like he doesn't care. So then that sucks. I really was hoping that it was just people hating on him, and that he would come out on the other side of this thing. But he's giving people more fuel for the fire as the season gone on. It's an early part of the season too, but he doesn't seem to care. And so I think at this point, Ben Simmons' value has to be reevaluated at this point, because he's no different than somebody that you would bring off the bench, even though he's as talented as he is. If he's going to keep doing all of this stuff, then he's as valuable as your seventh man, and hell, maybe even the eighth if he keeps this up. So yeah, man, because there's some 6 men in the league that would love to get Ben Simmons money, and that's playing harder than him and playing better than him.
Yeah.
And there's some guys that's the seventh man on a team, probably on the Golden State Warriors or something, and they're better than what Ben Simmons is producing. So in some locations, he's the eighth man, and so his contract should reflect that. And so if he's going to keep this charade up, nobody telling him he has to play to the level of his talent, because there's a lot of cats in the league that don't. It's just that Ben is so talented that people expect a lot from him. And if you don't want to play up to that, that's fine. Then get paid like that too.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's my problem with what he's got going on. And for somebody that paid for floor seats, because I'm pretty sure he has some floor seats. And if he was at the game, yeah, bro, you paid a ticket to go see that, and to see him do an air ball layup, that is egregious. 2 points and 6 fouls. Who does that? You know what I'm saying? Besides, I can't think of the dude's name. I can't think of no dude's name from way back in the day that was literally just brought in the game to foul Shaq. You just go get 6 fouls.
George Mirasan or somebody like that.
Just go get 6 fouls.
Yeah, Sean Bradley.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, I can't co-sign this. I was hoping that he would shut some people up, but he's only giving them more fuel. So how do you feel about it, bro?
Yeah, Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is, first of all, like I said, I'm not really with the excessive use of the N-word or saying pause. But other than that, I'm with Cameron on that. So it's always good to see a 2000s era rapper, come out of the woodwork. It's always good to see him pop up, see one of these guys pop up every now and again, because Cameron kind of chilling now. But so I'm with Cameron because you pay your hard-earned money, or you pay the money that you've earned at some point in your life to watch these guys play, and this is what you get. That's not a fair exchange to me. So I can understand Cameron's frustration, and he's probably not a fair weather fan. He's probably somebody who actually really does like the Nets for real. And so he wants to see the franchise do well. And when you look at one guy who you can directly pinpoint as someone who is inhibiting your team from doing that, I can understand lashing out in that kind of emotional way like that. But see, Ben Simmons is a result of the hyper-liberal culture of America and the hyper-liberal media. He is a byproduct of that. So I can't even really blame all of this on Ben. Ultimately, at the end of the day, everyone has to be held to account for the role that they've played in their individual circumstance. So the bottom line is everyone's responsible for their lot in life. And if Ben Simmons is where he is right now, he's most responsible for that. right out the gate. I'm an accountability guy, so I believe that ultimately most of this should be levied at the feet of Ben Simmons. But make no mistake about it, the media and this pansy hyper liberal culture that we've adopted also shares some responsibility for what you see here with somebody like Ben Simmons, because he was never made to be held responsible earlier when this aspect of his behavior and his personality was in its infancy stages. When he was playing for Philly, running around out there, making excuses for the fact that he doesn't want to shoot free throws, and everybody was saying, "Oh, we don't need him to do that. You can just be Ben Simmons and do whatever you want." And Jimmy Butler was calling it out, saying, "Hey, man, this guy needs to work on his game and take this stuff more seriously." What happened? Jimmy Butler got blamed, and everybody said Jimmy Butler was toxic, and they shipped Jimmy Butler out of there. Jimmy Butler ends up on the Heat. This is but this guy is now become a common denominator with this, and you have the media talking about how much money he makes and how tall he is and how talented he is, but he's literally cancerous to his team, not from a cultural perspective, but literally from a basketball perspective. He tears whatever you can or cannot do. You can immediately just eliminate that with Ben Simmons on your team, and it has nothing to do with, like, you know, guys like Stephon Marbury were a culture killer. Kyrie Irving is a culture killer. Ben Simmons is not a culture killer. He's literally a basketball killer. It's a different kind of cancer. They're all cancers, but Ben Simmons is of the Ben Simmons is of the basketball variety. And when he decided last year that he was literally going to quit playing basketball because he didn't like the fact that people criticized him legitimately for basketball reasons, no one was attacking his character, no one was attacking anything about his person, no one was attacking his personal life, his character, or who he is as a human being. People were just saying, Ben Simmons, why are you number one overall draft pick, 6'10", who can do everything but play offensively, and you're driving baseline in a pivotal playoff game when you can dunk the ball and you're passing it off? Why are you doing stuff like that, Ben Simmons? He was so sensitive that he couldn't take that kind of reasonable criticism. And so what did he do? He cowered away, he ran and hid, and he literally quit for an entire year and still wanted to be paid for that. And what did the media do? They said, "Oh, he's saying it's mental health. Let's believe him because no one dare say anything against someone claiming mental health, because that would be too much of a social faux pas." That to me is a form of coddling. And the sports media has adopted this, and it's birthed this monster that you see before you with Ben Simmons. So now he goes to Brooklyn right away, didn't play. Why are you not playing? Is it mental health or your back? Is it your back or so then he gets back surgery so that you can sort of reconcile the narrative that it is his back. But what happened to the mental health? Now he's already missing games because of a sore knee. I'm pretty sure fouling out with 2 points and being scared to shoot free throws has nothing to do with the fact that you all of a sudden have a sore knee. My point is, this guy is he's a common denominator in every adverse circumstance that he's found himself in. And he has not been helped by this hyper liberal media that wants to coddle these guys and not hold them to account for doing ridiculous things like unreasonably load managing themselves and blaming mental health for being too scared to go out there and do your job. So I don't blame Cameron. Again, I felt like he could have, toned down the language in the video. Otherwise, I feel like it's reasonable for every fan who likes that team to react that way because they're trapped. They're trapped with Ben Simmons. They're trapped with Kyrie Irving, and they can't get from up under it. And so I hope you guys are going to enjoy losing the teams that you have no business losing to, and maybe squeezing into the playoffs and then losing in the first round because you got Kevin Durant out there who's miserable even on his happiest day, despite the fact that he's a transcendent player, and 2 cancers in Kyrie and Ben Simmons, one a basketball cancer and the other a culture cancer. So congratulations. But I salute Cameron for the passion because I feel him. If this was going on with the Heat, I'd be doing the same thing. And I can't say I blame him.
Yeah, I mean, I gave Ben a chance. Not everybody has it together mentally. It is mental health reasons. And so everything that you explained was mentality.
but
He
that's
is.
not the kind of mental health that he's literally. I understand what you're saying, but what he and what the media will defend him on behalf of is that he's literally dealing with mental health stuff,
He
like
is.
like
That's why you're wide open and don't shoot it. That's why you don't dunk it, because you have something wrong with you. There's something wrong with him. And so he's not retarded. Excuse my French, right?
yeah,
He's not suffering from a mental disability. He is suffering from a very large form of depression. And he takes things personally. That is a mental health issue. So now so he's suffering mentally. And
Okay,
so
let me ask you a question real quick, not to cut you off,
mhm,
but I just want to ask you a question, and I want you to respond to this question.
mhm.
Where do you draw the line, if you draw the line at all, between legitimate ment between having your mental health legitimately compromised and being someone who's just a mentally weak individual? Do you draw any kind of line there?
Somebody's mentally weak because they're suffering from mental issues.
Okay.
And so he's mentally weak because he doesn't have confidence. That's something that can be built, and that's a mentality, that's a mental issue. So I don't associate mental health with clinical mental health and clinical stuff. That it's all in the same department to me. So I'm not talking about he's suffering from a disorder.
Right, like you're not saying that he's bipolar or something like that.
No, I'm saying
You're literally
his
saying that his mental health is compromised. I
right. And
guess,
then
for
mhm,
me, I do think that there is a difference between someone who is actually in need of counseling or that kind of stuff, because they do need some help with sort of cultivating and putting their mental health in a more balanced, stable state, and then someone who is otherwise fine, but they're just kind of mentally weak as a result of being coddled. That's kind of what I draw the line at the two.
I
I
got you.
do.
I got you. And I
Yeah.
think that if somebody is not operating, if they don't have anything biochemically wrong with their body or their brain, and they're not performing at their optimum level of uh mentality wise, then they are suffering from some type of mental health issue,
Okay.
whether
I
it's
see what
whether
you're
it's
saying.
whether it's self-esteem, whether it's self-confidence. It's something there that's lacking, that needs to be, whatever. Now, if everybody, so when you are in the modern age of social media and stuff like that, where everybody can tear at you and you can just click, open anything, and everybody famous, bums with no avatars, and everybody in between is just ripping you to shreds. And you come from a generation where you internalize all of that stuff. Ben ain't from Mars. So Ben actually believes in this generation and what people have to say about him online and on the news, and he's taking this stuff in. And and so somewhere there's a block, and we're literally watching a man who is struggling. It's like Westbrook is struggling from mental health issues. Now, he didn't sit
Yeah,
out a year
yeah,
for it.
yeah. I hear what you're saying. I just don't all the way agree with that. Like I don't think I hear you, and it's an interesting way to look at it. So I'm not knocking your thought process. I've
Mhm.
actually never thought of it that way. I honestly haven't. Um, I just, I look at somebody like Westbrook, and I think in the basketball sense, he's absolutely broken. But outside of basketball, I don't think he suffers from mental health in life.
He
I
probably
think his
does.
basketball state of mind is broken for sure. He's
Yeah.
a broken basketball player at this point. And so, yeah, that Westbrook as a basketball player, that is 100% in his head. And there are some challenges that he's currently going through. But I think Westbrook off the court, there's no issues with his mental health, I don't think.
I don't know. I don't think you play like that on the court and you're okay off of it. And that's
That's
because
it's a new
some of
it's a
those.
nuance it's a nuanced conversation, but Westbrook off the court is sound. Like he seems solid. Like he's got his businesses, he's got his family. He looks
Yeah, but
great. He looks
he
happy. So like,
but to me, he's equally as delusional off the court as he is on the court. He's a delusional person, and he's been that way since he played in OKC. Since he had to share the court with KD, he's always been off to me. And so, but he used that offness as a fuel to make him as elite as he was at the years that he was playing at those levels. But there were times where it's just like, bro, you have Kevin Durant and James Harden on the same team, and you're taking the game-winning shot. Pass the ball, you crazy man. He's always been a little off to me. And so for me, I think mental health. If somebody is suffering from depression, you have mental health issues.
I agree with that.
And so I think what Ben is suffering from, he's suffering from a public form of it because everybody can watch it. He's suffering from a public form of basketball depression. Now, I've never seen this level of it before, but we got some new humans out there playing basketball. and we got some new people out there playing, and they're coming out there with new stuff. Mm-hmm. And so the unraveling of what we're watching with him, to me, is baffling. That's why I was experiencing cognitive dissonance, because I figured that, he would shut up some haters this year if he had any bones in his body. But he appears to be an invertebrate. And he's just literally out there just doing anything and going as the wind blows. Hey, I'll foul out of this game. I don't give a shit. What? Where are you at, bro? I already got my check. I don't care. Damn, bro. That's how you really feel? Apparently so.
It seems that way.
Yeah, you must be sick in the head if you around here doing that. So, but yeah, man, that's how I feel about him. Am I going to sit here and throw a pity party for him? No. I think he needs help. Even if he seeks help, I don't really think at this point, if he's not really going to tap into his full talent potential, I don't think he cares about basketball like that. I think he was just always good at it. And then look where I ended up at. And I didn't ask to be 6'10", and I didn't ask to have vision that this guy doesn't have for whatever reason. I just can see that guy open, so I'm giving it to him. And I've seen dudes that were hella talented, more talented than me on the basketball court, and didn't care about basketball as much as I did. So I'm not surprised at this day and age that there was somebody who grew up to be 6'10" and fooled everybody with his talent, and he never really gave a damn about the game. And so yeah, this is an unfortunate situation. Am I giving him a pass for all of this stuff? Nah, man, because I feel like the things that he is suffering from, and I think this is where we agree at, the mental weakness of it. These are things that he could get into the lab, and if he really wanted to dig into himself and fix these things, he could. He has the money to get the resources that he needs for the mental health that mental health counselors or whatever, he can get on the right page, but he just seems to not care. So this is the side of it where I don't feel sorry for him, because I feel like he has everything at his disposal in order to fix all of his errors, whether it comes to shooting, his mentality, and everything, all the above. But I still feel as though he is suffering from mental health issues.
I got you. Yeah, that's an interesting way of look. See, I think where you and I differ is I've always drawn that delineation between general mental weakness and legitimate mental health. But I don't lump all mental health into, oh, this person needs to be put on meds. Like you can be suffering from general sadness and depressive states and just having moods that fluctuate and all of that kind of stuff. And that's legit mental health stuff. So I completely agree with that. But I think there's a difference so there's three forms of it to me. There's general mental weakness. There's that kind of mental health where you're not clinically depressed or you're clinically suffering from something, but you're dealing with challenges psychologically that you're trying to work to overcome. And then there's the legit clinical, like, I need help. I have actual mental diseases, right?
Yeah.
So I've always drawn the distinction between like mental weakness and mental health. And I think it's a nuanced thing. Like, much like sexuality and like stuff like with CTE and all of that, these are new sciences that we're just cracking the surface of. So we, even as human beings, we don't fully understand the depths of all of this. But I question the legitimacy of Ben Simmons' mental health status, simply because, like, I'm willing to entertain the idea that he has basketball mental health challenges that needs to be overcome. But generally speaking, I don't think that he is dealing with mental health issues in life. And by no means do I follow people on the internet or look up people on social media or whatnot, but I do come across a lot of stuff on the internet, and I'm seeing how Ben Simmons lives, and he does not live like the type of person who is dealing with mental health issues. Maybe basketball mental health issues, sure, but I don't know about mental health in general with life. I just think that he's a person who's just not built to overcome challenges when it comes to, like, his profession or his work. He's not built for that. I think Ben Simmons to me strikes me as the kind of person who has the intelligence to run a Fortune 500 company, but simply doesn't have the temperament. So he's best to put him in a role of being like a programmer, somebody who you can say, hey, Ben Simmons, do this one thing and excel at that, but don't worry about being the boss or being a leader or doing any of that, because you'll crash and burn in that kind of environment. Like, Ben Simmons is somebody who you put in position to be singularly focused on one thing, and if you try to make him something that he's not, it's going to fail. That's what he strikes me as, and I just think that he needs to be put in that type of environment, and you'll be amazed how much he can thrive. But I question whether he's actually mentally compromised. But again, your way of interpreting it is a way that I didn't think of, and so I do think that there's some validity to that too.
Right.
But be that as it may, Brooklyn is a shit show. They are a dumpster fire, and I saw this coming a mile away, because Ben Simmons and Kyrie, I just don't know what coach is going to make that work. Phil Jackson at his prime, I don't think could make that work. I just, get those guys out of here. If either one of those guys ended up on my team, I would protest personally. So, and that other guy being Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
But whatever. Good luck to Ben Simmons, man, and shouts out to
Get well
Cameron.
soon, Ben. Get well, bro. Because you must be sick in the head doing all that stuff. Get well, man.
Yeah, bro. 2 points and 6 fouls. Come on, man. And shouts out to Cameron, man. I still listen to that Purple Haze album every now and then.
Yeah, pause. Pause.
Yeah. Okay, so